Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for the Love Chapters Earth open call. Brought to you by the founder of Love Chapters Earth, Trinity Clark, and her Love Earth team. You are about to hear information that will transform your life and the lives of those in your family and communities. Love Chapters is an ecclesiastical, non-registered church body that operates through its offices as a corporation sole. It is not a 501c3. This distinction gives Love Chapters the ability to create its own constitution and bylaws to govern the officers of Love Chapters, ensuring that the vision and goal of Love Chapters is accomplished without outside influences. Here's the founder and overseer of Love Chapters Earth, Trinity Clark.
Rick's intro, today, November 18th in the year of our Lord 2014, and as Rick said, it is the Love Chapters Earth open call. The time is 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Alaska, and 3 p.m. in Hawaii. Our opening prayer. Heavenly Father, I and the Love Earth team want to express our gratitude for the blessings that have been bestowed on us, each step of this journey to populate the understanding of what Love Chapters is and how it serves the communities of location according to your law of nature and leads us in communities in the way that we should go. We ask for your continued guidance and blessings of strength as we press forward on this path. Keep our hearts responsive to the needs of others and place those before us that will become leaders in their communities. We give thanks and ask for these through Jesus Christ. And also a personal prayer to please help heal my son as you see fit. Amen. Okay. Tonight, Tim Bueller will be speaking more on the benefits of earthing or grounding, the combination of what Tim brings about earthing or grounding, restructured water, gardening, and what Ruth brings during the Ruth's Remedies portion of our call is knowledge that can and should be used together because it becomes a circle of natural health for you and your family. And as Love Chapters populates to the states and regions, it will become community knowledge. We will then move to Answers with Anthony for our kids on the edge of excellence after Ruth's Remedies of bringing health tips that can be easily executed because they utilize herbs, spices, and other common finds around the average household or those easily obtained from a local grocery store. We will have Rick Hidalgo with the weekly news report as well as a short advertisement on his Sovereign Love University, where he teaches the schematics of sovereignty that Love Chapters itself is operated under. Sometimes it seems that we're not moving forward fast enough as far as population of chapter locations, but as far as the local view, we are making some forward strides. After volunteering for an affordable food program based on bulk ordering over the last couple of months, Love Chapters Earth USA, as the Love Chapters Earth Church, has sponsored the Share Iowa program in southeastern South Dakota and has initiated the giving of 17 complete family Thanksgiving dinners as a hand up to those less fortunate and striving to make it possible to give 100 complete family Christmas dinners. The Share Iowa program is available in Minnesota, Iowa, South Dakota, Nebraska, Missouri, Illinois, and North Dakota that I am aware of, and could stretch even further. This type of program is all volunteer-based, and of those that purchase the affordable food products being asked to volunteer 2 hours a month of community service. That's what I really like about the program. As the sale of food packages increase, so do community volunteers and a greater community awareness of the needs in the community. I and Tim Bueller have each taken an active role with the SHARE program in our cities and surrounding communities as team leaders, which has taken us face-to-face with many that will become future Love Chapter officers through the observation of people helping people in and for the community. My topic this week is taking mental inventory of ourselves. Last week, I spoke of seek, education, and knowledge. The majority of us would be in no disagreement that society in general is going to hell. But it is not in a simple little handbag. It's more like a traffic jam bottleneck backed up at the door waiting to get in. The solution to this is not love chapters, as most would assume, I would say, but rather collective communities of people that have taken a personal mental inventory of themselves, then united to become a force for good. Love Chapters is only a vehicle, a system to unite the community through, home base. The Pod Magic system is to create the funding needed to get the programs rolling and maintain sustainability of both the office programs and the community, while creating wealth for the Love Chapter offices to free up their time to volunteer and coordinate the programs within the community. Personal mental inventory is more than just self-evaluation. What personality type are you? Are you shy or outgoing, meek or controlling, a self-starter or procrastinator? What are your best talents and resources? Are you title or recognition starved? Do you need to be in a position to be noticed or of importance to move? Do you entertain ideas or solutions others bring forward, or is it your way the only way worth its weight in gold? I could ask many more questions, but it's irrelevant because you are the only one that needs to ask the questions of yourself, and most importantly, in bold honesty. If you will see a true picture of how others see you, and if you will have a true measure of where you might need growth, which comes down to seeking the knowledge through self-education and asking yourself the hard questions. The truth is between you and God. The solution is becoming more of what you expect in everyone else around you and the world. It's not easy, but it is simple, as eating something the size of an elephant, consistently chewing one bite at a time. So, if you look at the word team, there is no I, and all love officers and offices are a team effort. Yes, we have titles, but those titles are not for the placard or shingle, but rather the position we bring the most benefit to. One may not be a leader by all accounts at this time, but if someone steps forward to become a founder for a state or region or community and gathers other like-minded teammates, there are no questions that they are positioned to become a leader, that their heart is in the right place, that they care about others and the community, as well as the future of society, the world we leave for the future generations. Isn't that what the God of creation intended for us? To live in sovereign harmony with the world around us? Isn't that what our forefathers attempted to guide America with? A nation under God and His, the Creator's law, indivisible by man's corruption? So what happened? Do you really believe you will vote a politician into office that will truly bring about the harmony? Of course not. It's a game of money and greed, corruptness, and men and women that are full of their self-serving selves. Do you think a Facebook page or group will bring the people together? How about a website? Of course not. It takes individuals coming together with the willingness to work selflessly towards a vision of betterment for all. Individuals that have evaluated themselves in honesty, taken an accurate inventory of themselves, and willing to balance out their findings as part of a team. They are exactly what makes up the team leadership of a Love Chapter office location. The Love Team sets the example for the community. And with that, I will yield the floor to Tim Bueller.
Life Water by Love is brought to you by Tim Bueller. Join us every week as Tim takes us on a journey to discover your health and wellness. Here's Tim Bueller.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks, Trinity. I kind of enjoyed that. Just a little bit more on grounding this week. I have a segment here on why living in high-rises could be detrimental to your health. Additionally, there are a major differences between standing outside in your barefoot and standing outside in shoes, because your shoes insulate you from the ground, and how high you are off the surface of the earth without being grounded also matters. Why is this? Dr. Oshman explains. The Earth's surface is electrically charged and can push electrons up in your body. So from the top of your head to the earth, there is a potential which you don't feel because it doesn't cause any particular current to flow, even though it can be a couple hundred voltage. If you did, it would give you a shock. What happens is when the weather changes is that the potential can go up enormously. It can go from 100 volts per meter to 10,000 volts per meter. That's per lightning. We're talking about the potential that causes lightning to come to the earth. That voltage is well known and well understood. This is the potential between the surface of the earth and the ionosphere, hundreds of miles up, which is very electrically active, charged by the solar winds, the charged particles that come from the sun. These charged particles eventually reach the earth by lightning and electrified the entire surface of the earth, so that anywhere you touch the earth, there are electrons. They come originally from the sun to the ionosphere to the earth. There is no lightning happening right here, right now, but somewhere there is lightning. A constant current flows from the ionosphere to the earth. Those are the electrons that your body needs for your immune system to function properly. What this means is that the higher you are up, you separated from the surface of the earth, the higher this potential would be, and the worse the implications for your health if you're not grounded. For example, if you live on the 20th floor of a high-rise and you're not grounded, using grounding technology, of course, the consequences to your health will be more significant than if you lived on the first floor. Likewise, when you wear rubber or plastic sole shoes, you are effectively shielding yourself from the beneficial influx of electrons from the earth. For optimal immune function, you want these electrons to enter your body to make sure you take your shoes off now and then. I just found that kind of interesting, how the electrons get to the earth from the sun through the ionosphere and then down through lightning. And I I didn't have much else other than Trinity wanted me to talk a little bit about how I've been grounding myself, and I just want to put out a little word of caution to be careful. But what we do is take a number 10 screw, stick it in the grounding port. First, you got to find out if your grounding port is grounded in your plug-ins on your wall. And then we just take went and got some like telephone cable and stripped the coating off of it, and just got a light wire with some alligator clips on each end, then clipped to that number 10 screw in the electrical plug-in on your house, and then clipped it to a mesh, a wire mesh, or copper plate, or whatever you can find. But usually at a hardware store you can find what they call hardware cloth. It's kind of a inch by inch, well, even smaller than that, probably 3/4 by 3/4 inch squares, just a light wire. And what I did was cut like about 18 inches by a foot, and then put duct tape around the edges of that, and then put that at, like while I'm sitting at the computer, then you can have your feet on that, and you can be grounded. The other thing is I took and went and got some copper bracelets and did the same process, and then I wear that copper bracelet at night when I sleep, and I just hook a ground wire up to that too. And that has seemed to really help most of the time with, I sleep a lot deeper, and I have, it just seems to help ease the inflammation in the joints and stuff so far. So from that, I'll just yield to the next one. Thank you.
This has been an episode with Tim Bueller. Tune in next week for more information. See you next week. Goodbye.
Thanks, Tim. That was great. And I think it's really easy. If anybody really wants to ground themselves, it is really quite easy to makeshift the materials from things that you can find at the local hardware store. It's just really, again, the caution is make sure you know what the ground outlet of your plug is. The ground out, you have the two prongs that go into the wall with the standard cord, and then the one underneath it that's a single is the ground outlet. Of course, the warning is very imperative, because if you stick anything metal in one of the other two prongs, you're going to get shocked. So just want to call that. I think up next we have Ruth Hidalgo with Ruth's Remedies.
Tonight, on Love Chapter's Open Call, it's Ruth's Remedies, brought to you by Ruth Hidalgo. Ruth's Remedies is all about health and wellness. This segment is dedicated to your health. Here's Ruth Hidalgo.
Hello, everyone. Tonight we are going to talk specifically only about garlic. There is a world of information out there about garlic, so hang on tight as we share all the good news there is to know about garlic. Garlic is one of the greatest natural medicines nature has to offer. Up until about 50 years ago, nature was our medicine chest. Nearly every community had a natural healer or midwife who had studied plants and their use in healing. Medicinal gardens were part of the landscape. The healer knew which plants that grew naturally around the community which ones had medicinal properties. One of the greatest gifts of natural medicine that has to offer can be found on this earth is garlic, or Allium sativum. That's the scientific name for it. It has been used as a natural remedy for thousands of years. It's an antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral properties. It also is antioxidant, and it helps boost the immune system. Garlic, especially in its raw form, has been praised for its healing power and its medicinal uses since ancient times. It was used for medicinal purposes by the ancient Greeks, Egyptians, Babylonians, Assyrians, Romans, and Chinese. Today, numerous research studies document the extraordinary benefits of garlic on human health. The healing properties of garlic are wide and varied, ranging from, that we already talked about, antioxidant, antifungal, antiviral, and antibacterial. Although anyone can benefit from eating garlic, those who are looking for a natural way to reduce their risk of cardiovascular disease, cancer, asthma attacks, bouts of cold or flu, abnormal hair loss, or some skin conditions are likely to reap the most health benefits by regularly eating garlic. In this article, we are looking at the extraordinary healing properties of garlic and describing the most common medicinal uses of this natural wonder drug. The medicinal use of garlic as an antifungal agent has been validated by numerous research papers and publications. Most of the antifungal properties of garlic have been attributed to allicin, a phytochemical that is produced when raw garlic cloves are crushed or chopped. To maximize the allicin content of your garlic dishes, you should let the chopped or crushed garlic sit several minutes before using it. Research shows that allowing chopped or crushed garlic to sit 10 to 15 minutes before using it can significantly increase the amount of allicin it produces. As a result of its antifungal activity, garlic has been used to treat acne and conditions linked to overgrowth of candida yeast in the body. Some herbalists also suggest that garlic may have dandruff healing properties due to its ability to fight Phytosporum ovale, which is a small fungus that lives on the scalp and may play a role in the development of dandruff. The strong antioxidant activity due to allicin. Many of the healing properties of raw garlic are linked to its strong antioxidant qualities. These antioxidant properties are largely attributed to allicin, the same compound that is responsible for the antifungal properties of crushed raw garlic. Allicin has been touted as one of the most potent antioxidants found in foods. In addition to allicin, garlic delivers antioxidant vitamins and minerals such as vitamin C, zinc, and selenium. Antioxidants in garlic help protect the body from free radicals, destructive oxygen molecules that attack healthy cells that can cause cellular damage or cancer. Due to their destructive effects on cells, free radicals are heavily implicated in several diseases, including eye disorders, dementia, rheumatoid arthritis, cardiovascular problems, diabetes, atherosclerosis, and impaired immune system, certain types of cancer, and even Alzheimer's disease. In addition to staving off common diseases and conditions, the free radical neutralizing properties of garlic can help keep your skin looking young by fighting premature aging of the skin provoked by excessive exposure to sunlight. When your skin is exposed to sunlight, it creates powerful enzymes called melanoproteinases, which help repair sun-damaged connective tissue. However, not all of these are good for us. Some of these destroy collagen fibers, which can lead to wrinkles and fine lines. Free radicals appear to activate these destructive metalloproteinases. Garlic also is a natural antibiotic. Back in the 19th century, the French chemist and microbiologist Louis Pasteur examined the use of raw garlic juice as a potential antibacterial agent and found garlic to be capable of killing bacteria much the same way as penicillin does. Consequently, garlic was used widely as an antibacterial agent to disinfect and heal wounds during World War II. Since then, several research studies published in medical journals have confirmed the antibacterial and antiviral properties of garlic. In addition to its ability to control bacterial and viral infections, garlic has been shown to fight and heal infections caused by other microbes and worms. Due to the healing properties of garlic derived from its antibacterial and antiviral activity, this medicinal herb has also been used in the treatment of some infections that are difficult to treat due to the presence of bacteria that have become resistant to prescription drugs such as antibiotics. However, more research is needed in this area before definite conclusions about the efficiency of garlic as an antibiotic can be made. Anti-cancer effects of raw garlic. Still not impressed with the healing powers and medicinal uses of garlic? Well, guess what? Numerous laboratory tests have also found garlic and garlic extracts to exert strong anti-cancer effects. Also, several epidemiologic studies support the idea that garlic, especially raw garlic, can help prevent certain types of cancer. According to a large-scale review, the strongest evidence for anti-cancer effects of raw garlic pertains to stomach and colorectal cancers. This extensive review, which appeared in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition in year 2000, analyzed epidemiological studies published on stomach, colon, head and neck, lung, breast, and prostate cancers since 1966. Raw garlic appears to exert its anti-cancer effects through multiple mechanisms, including the inhibition of free radical production, activation of enzymes that detoxify carcinogens, and regulation of cell cycle arrest. In addition, garlic has been shown to induce apoptosis. Apoptosis, also known as programmed cell death, is the body's normal way of getting rid of unneeded or abnormal cells. But cancer cells employ mechanisms that allow them to invade apoptosis so they can grow uncontrollably at the expense of healthy cells and tissues. Research suggests that a healthy diet rich in garlic may be used successfully as a complementary treatment for insulin resistance, a physiological condition that remains a major medical challenge of the 21st century. Insulin resistance has been linked to a number of diseases and conditions, including prediabetes and type 2 diabetes, excess body weight, adult acne, and heart disease. In insulin-resistant people, the body's cells are no longer able to effectively respond to the actions of the hormone insulin. According to a study published in the European Journal of Pharmacology in 2005, the health benefits of garlic for insulin-resistant people may be linked to the presence of garlic oil and diallyl trisulfide in garlic. In addition to having wide-ranging healing properties documented in previous studies, these two compounds appear to improve the body's ability to effectively respond to the actions of insulin and thus fight insulin resistance. This is amazing, amazing information, and I just have one more thing to share with you. The biblical reference that we have for garlic is found in the book of Numbers. The Israelites moaned and complained and wished they could go back to Egypt when they were in the wilderness. They said, "We remember the fish which we used to eat free in Egypt, and the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic. But now our appetite is gone. There is nothing at all to look at except this manna." So, with this inspiration from this scripture, we will be taking a closer look at the medicinal properties of each of these foods listed in Numbers chapter 11, verse 5, over the next few weeks. I look forward to meeting with you again, and thank you. This has been Ruth's Remedies. I do have one more thing to share with you, and that is that there is more information available to you. There are some ways to get, if you're worried about, oh, garlic, it stinks, I don't want my skin to smell like garlic. There is a natural type of garlic that is available today that is odor-free. And if you go to my blog at remediesbyruth.blogspot.com, you will be able to follow a link that will lead you right to a remedy that is available today in a capsule form or in an oil form that is an odorless garlic. On top of that, there is a link to a book that you may be interested in purchasing that is pertaining to all natural health. It's for anything involving vitamins, minerals, herbs, and food supplements. So that is some of the resources that will be available at Remedies by Ruth at blogspot.com. And thank you for joining me today. This has been Remedies with Ruth.
This has been Ruth's Remedies with Ruth Hidalgo. Come back next week for a new segment on your health and wellness. Good night.
Thanks, Ruth. That was really informative, and I'm glad that you gave out the link to your blog, because I think that's very important for people to go there and read more about what you were talking about in case they missed any little piece of it. So thanks, Ruth. And thanks, Tim. I really didn't get a chance to say thank you. And I don't know who we have up next. Might be the news, I hope.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for Answers with Anthony, the Love Chapters segment for kids on the edge of excellence. Here's Answers with Anthony.
The Importance of Reflection in Education, written by Mark Clemens. If I touch a hot stove and burn my hand, I immediately learn that touching a hot stove results in a burnt hand. My brain makes the connection almost simultaneously. There is little need to reflect, because the hot stove equals burn. Connection is one that my mind makes almost immediately. Similarly, suppose I'm driving in bad weather and going way too fast. For conditions, if my car spins out and I find myself stuck in a ditch, I've learned a lesson about driving in bad weather. Again, the connection is almost instantaneous. Academic learning, however, is seldom that obvious. Let's pretend I'm a 4th grade student, distracted by everything from cafeteria food to the playground outside my classroom window. If I fail a math test, I'm immediately able to tell you why? No. Most kids aren't self-aware enough or mature enough to tell you why they failed at something, or in some cases, why they got in trouble. The younger the student, the more difficult this is. More than likely, since I'm not sure exactly why I failed the test, the only connection my brain makes is math equals F. Since most kids really do want to be successful, students also equate F equals failure and failure equals bad. They don't understand that failure is an important part of the learning process, largely because we as teachers don't allow students to redo work and learn from mistakes. As a result, they come to hate the subject or the teacher, never really understanding why other than I suck at math. This is precisely why reflection is so important. Although it's a cumbersome and time-consuming practice to teach to kids, without reflection, it is almost impossible for actual learning to occur. Facing the increasing demands to cover as much material as possible to prepare for state tests, teachers often forgo teaching students to reflect on their work. Electing to instead cover the material, we often accuse kids of having forgotten material they learned the year before, but in reality, they never really learned it at all. The teacher covered it. Perhaps the students memorized it for a short term before losing it. Reflection is a key ingredient to move knowledge from short-term to long-term memory. Consider John Dewey's famous quote, "We don't learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on experience." Reformers like Mr. Dewey have been taking the importance of reflection in the learning process since the 1930s. For a more contemporary spin, consider the work of Dr. Bob Darnell and his website achievementstrategies.org. Darnell describes the learning process as input equals process equals output equals reflect, and notes that without reflection, it is very difficult to have genuine learning. If the goal is not merely coverage, but actual learning, then reflection is no longer optional. It is an essential piece to transition a classroom from covering material to being focused on learning. After all, if I touch a hot stove and burn my hand, but never make the connection that the hot stove is what burned my hand, I'm likely to repeat that mistake. This is an absurd example. Of course, it's the stove that burned my hand. But oftentimes in life, what went wrong is a question without an obvious answer. And unfortunately, it's a question that the vast majority of students never even think to ask. And while many colleges talk about the importance of being a reflective practitioner in their teacher training programs, there seems to be little reflection taught in the classroom, probably because the teachers are so bad at it themselves. For some silly reason, it's not cool to talk about reflecting. It's difficult for teachers who, as a result of their position as the distributor of knowledge, in the mind of most students and parents, feel obligated to be right all the time. This, of course, is absurd. However, because of this need to be right, we get very defensive and struggle to admit when we're wrong. There's something about the word reflection that seems to make teachers uncomfortable. Maybe because it's too touchy-feely for some. Maybe it's because it requires adults to show humility and admit they can improve regardless. If we're not willing to practice it ourselves and model it for our students, how can we ever hope to see them reflect on their own mistakes? Reflection is an integral part of the learning process. It allows us to learn more about ourselves and how we learn, but it also aids us in improving academic skills. Considering sport teams that watch film of their previous night's game, they'll be able to identify mistakes and correct them at practice. Look at a failed math test can have the same result if we keep students to notice, oh, I forgot to carry the 1 every time I borrow. Then we can look back on the learning process as well and help students discern which activities work well for them and which ones didn't. Teaching students to reflect on their work by noticing and correcting their own mistakes, as well as which activities and behaviors allow them to be successful, it is a vital part of the learning process that far too many classrooms leave out of the equation. As teachers who should model this expectation by reflecting themselves and involving students in their own reflections, only then can we help students understand not to touch a hot stove, as opposed to simply making them afraid of all stoves forever. This has been Answers with Anthony. Thank you for listening.
And Trinity, I apologize. That was Answers with Anthony. The news will be next.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome. This is Love Chapters News. My name is Rick Hidalgo, and this is 11/18/2014. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about the peculiar treasure, as I promised to talk about a couple weeks ago. As a kid, I remember growing up in a Southern Baptist church. That was the particular denomination that my mother raised us in. And I remember when we got to the offertory time and they began to pass the plates around, the preacher would get up, and more often than not, he'd open his Bible to Malachi chapter 3, verse 10, and he'd read this: "Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house. And prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven, and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive." Of course, as a kid, it was always my impression that as people brought the tithes to the storehouse, and this was, of course, Federal Reserve notes in the form of checks and all type of monetary consideration, that they would put it in the plates, and that somewhere in the church there was a big vault, and that they would put all the money inside of the vault, and of course the church was the storehouse, and when somebody needed something, or when the church had to pay the electric bill, they'd go to the vault and they'd take care of it. Of course, this isn't how it is whatsoever. In fact, the churches today are no longer storehouses. While yes, they may collect offerings that have a particular purpose, and they may even enumerate what that purpose is on their offertory slip, but the churches today don't really have a concept of being a storehouse. When offering is completed, they take it, they put it in a bank deposit bag, and they stick it in a bank, effectively rendering it useless to the church and rendering it the property of the bank. In fact, also bringing a statutory obligation upon the church, which is a completely different jurisdiction. I wonder if anybody listening to this call has ever heard of separation of church and state. Of course, we've heard it used against the church for as long as I remember. Every time a public display would happen on the side of the road, somebody would set up a manger scene, they'd come and say, separation of church and state. You can't do that on public property. So on or so forth. And they'd try to force us into our homes to conceal Christmas and Easter behind the curtains of our own homes. Of course, this is what they called separation of church and state. But our founding fathers were much smarter than the sheeple of today. And what they considered the separation of church and state was the concept that the state would not have any authority or jurisdiction over the church, and the church would not rule the state. Okay, so there was a separation of church and state just in philosophy, and that separation really is a separation between the private and the public. The church represents the private, who, through Christ, we go through the door and we begin to learn the ways of our God. And therefore, the public side is that side in which you engage in every day. It's the commerce and all of the things that you do every day to exercise who you believe you are as a citizen of the sovereign people of the United States of America. So there is a two-sided coin involved here. And when I recently read Malachi 3:10, the scripture that I read to you a short while ago about bringing the tithes to the storehouse, it reflected a completely different light than that scripture used to when I heard my pastor talk about it from the pulpit. Now, I really understand why the church needs to be the storehouse. You see, it is the intention of Love Chapters Earth Church to become the storehouse for our communities. Not just for our communities as far as food and water and all the necessities of life, but also with all the education that needs to be brought forth to help people to operate and exercise their privacy. Help people to understand how it is that they need to function in society without creating obligation to the state. This is the primary focus of Love Chapters, and especially from this law office. You see, I have been deemed as a law advisor for Love Chapters Earth Church. I am, in fact, on the Love Chapters Earth team. And therefore, this is something I wanted to bring before you tonight so that you could begin to think about what I've just said and let it sink into your heart so that you can understand that there really is a significant difference between the private and the public, and it is our job to bring back the private practice. This has been Love Chapters Earth News. My name is Rick Hidalgo. God bless, and see you next week. And with that, I give the floor back to Trinity Clark, and I open up the lines for open conversation.
Well, thanks, Rick. That was, I really think that it's pretty amazing that we all decide what we're going to do individually, and when we come together, it seems like everything on the call is tied into one another, and I find that I find it amazing, but I also find it as planned direction. So spiritually planned direction. So I thought that was a great news thing. I appreciate you bringing that forward. I appreciate what Anthony brought forward. He just really explained what I was saying about basically reflecting on yourself, turning inward, asking yourself the hard questions. That was all about reflection. Thought that was really amazing too. And then, of course, always Tim and Ruth always bring the best useful information for everyone to start taking responsibility for their health direction of both themselves and their families. So I don't know if anybody else has any comments. I'm pretty amazed by the call tonight. I know my cat was running around earlier, so I don't know if he got anybody's tongue or what.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had myself muted, Trinity. I was actually trying to comment there. I wanted to respond to what you said because I feel the same way that you do. None of us talk to each other about what we're going to talk about on these Tuesday night calls. Yet every single week. They all seem to mesh together, and we all seem to be, really going down the same roads and carrying the same cross. So it's amazing how it all works out like this, but we shouldn't be surprised because all of us are really being guided by the very same person. So with that, I'll yield back.
Well, Tim, do you have anything to say?
I've kind of drawn a blank tonight.
Well, you're allowed. You've been working really hard, and you've been bringing forth a lot of information that I really, really appreciate, and information that I've actually been using quite a bit with my son's illness. This last week, I've been restructuring everything that he's been taking in, and because of that, one of the things that was prevalent when he went to the doctors was that he was not dehydrated. He had a lot of other issues, but he wasn't dehydrated, and that is because of water restructuring and breaking down the water molecule clusters into, I don't know if it's the proper terminology, but nanostructures so that they could get into the cells. So great information, and I wished that I could crush up a bunch of garlic now and start feeding him garlic, but I don't think I'd get within 2 feet of him. But
just put it in his, sneak it in. Garlic is a sneaky one. You can sneak it into his food, saute it up, sneak it in.
Put it in his Gatorade.
I wish eating.
No, that won't work.
That won't. Sure it will.
No, I've been through that.
It'd be a garlicade.
Garlicade.
You don't want children that are crying. That's not.
Well, you don't put that much in there, but I used to add garlic in my water all the time.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Well,
I gotta get back to that habit.
You're an amazing man, Tim. So I can say.
And Rick's an amazing man too. I used to take raw garlic and fresh lemons, and whiz them in the blender and make him drink it whenever he has a UTI. He'd drink the whole thing.
Well, okay.
I was forced.
So bad.
It was potent. It is potent, but I have to say though, garlic is amazing. I'm blown away. I loved researching it. We all know that garlic's good, and then we research it, and then it's like, wow.
And to go with the garlic, I'm very interested to see what the restructured water is going to do for the properties of the garlic. I think it would only enhance it. Am I correct, Tim?
Yes. It sounds like everything gets enhanced. Even taking your vegetables, your meat, everything, and putting it in restructured water. It'll enhance it. It'll tie up the anything that's bad in there for you. Even taking structured water in just a bottle and spray it around the house is it really freshens the house up. It's unbelievable.
Now that you've said that, Tim, I think it just clicked what might have happened tonight. When I gave my son the nebulizer treatment, he's been drinking restructured everything between Gatorade and water. Anything that he's had to drink in the last 3-4 days has been restructured. And the fact that it makes it more potent, I bet you basically with the nebulizer meds that he overdosed on them.
Oh, that might be.
That's why he was shaking almost like convulsions.
Can you back him off then?
Dose down, yes.
Well, that's just like, I go to a lady to have me homeopathically tested. I mean, she's got a computer that tests you. They can test the energy, all right?
Mhm.
So I wanted her to test structured water for me. And you got to realize this is on a scale from 0 to 100, right? And 50 is normal. That's where you want everything in the body to be, is at 50. So I went into her bathroom, because I didn't have everything I got now is structured. So I went into her bathroom, which is on the same water system that we're on. All right, so basically it's got to be the same water. I took it right out of her sink in the bathroom, put it on the tester to test it, and I had her test me. And it barely made it just a hair over 40. And I took the bottle of water that I had that day, that I restructured once through the house unit, no more, set it on there, and it balanced out at a perfect 50. Just one time. So it's all about energy. Everything is just about energy. So it's just amazing to me.
Right, and I never thought about that. I mean, I feel a little bit stupid for not thinking about it, because we have been studying this now for the last, 7, 8 calls, and we have discussed how things react better, like the vitamins would become more potent. And then I gave my son a typical dose of the nebulizer, which is part steroids and I don't know what else is in. It's for asthma treatment, or in his case, pneumonia. But it just made it more potent, because his body level from drinking all of that structured water is where it's supposed to be, and this is overreacting in his system.
So now you have to figure out what the dosage would be.
Well, earlier today, his first dose was a normal dose, and he started shaking and saying he was cold and all of that, and I took him off of it a little bit earlier, and then I'm supposed to do it 4 times a day. So then around lunchtime, I did the second dose, but I only used what was left that I had pulled off of him from the morning dose. It was tonight that I dosed him that he just shook and complained that he was cold. I mean, he was just uncontrollable, almost. He wasn't convulsing because, he was alert and everything, but his body was really reacting badly. I mean, to the point where I watched him because I didn't know if I would have to, call in somebody like an ambulance or something, because it was just ridiculous. And what that does is it does speed up the heart rate on those meds, so it opens up the airways. So it does speed up the heart rate and the blood capillaries in the lungs. So, yeah. Wow.
That makes sense.
Yep, I'm glad I'm on the call.
So hopefully maybe you don't have to take him tomorrow then, huh?
Well, he still needs to go to the doctor's tomorrow.
Okay, yep.
And they're going to keep him out of school until Monday. But he does need to still go to the doctor's tomorrow, but now I've managed to figure out that I need to cut that dose way back on the nebulizer. He needs it, but not that much.
Well, it's a good thing you made that comment, Rick.
Where's Rick?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry. I had myself muted. Yeah, I guess it was a good thing I made that comment.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. I mean, as close as I am to it, it was just too close to figure it out. So that serves as a really good warning for everybody that if you are taking a med and you're restructuring your water, you want to pay close attention to your reaction to your meds, because they could become more powerful. In other words, you would need to cut back or lessen the meds.
I still would love to know how you know how much to lessen it by?
I haven't a clue.
Yeah, I know. Because I have a second blog post that I posted this week. One of the books that I use for children all the time, it has dosages, like appropriate dosages for like different herbs and things, like 1/4 teaspoon or 1/8 teaspoon, in their apple juice, or, it's just very mild, just this little bit that they need, or whatever. It gives like specific appropriate dosages for children, for infants, all the way up through, for young children. And I don't know. That's if he was shaking, that's like maybe you could even go half, and then and then take notes how he does. Take notes. Keep a journal. Keep a journal on how his body reacts to the different. Like if you take it down to half with the restructured water, and then keep a journal of how his body responded to that.
Well, actually, I think it's less than half. I think it's about a quarter, because what was left in there on the second time was about a quarter of a dose.
And he was still shaking?
No, not at that time. He took that well. I'm just thinking back about the day and how that went. So the first dose he shook, but I didn't finish the dose.
So he got
and then I had about a quarter of the dose left. And that's what I gave him at lunchtime, and he was fine.
Wow.
Tonight, I gave him the full dose, and he was just shaking. I mean, it scared me.
Yep, I would start with just a quarter dose then, and monitor that.
I am going to bring... Like I said, the doctor didn't know what I was talking about when I said restructured water. But she was very aware of the 35% grade hydrogen peroxide in the bath, but in that bath was also restructured water. And I think tomorrow when I go in, I better bring the pamphlet for the restructured water and explain to her what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. And still, I would keep a journal of everything, even of his convulsings and everything. I would just write it all in a journal and date it and give it times and dates and journal all of it. Keep it all in a log.
Well, I'm pretty much doing that with his intake of food and liquid.
Mm-hmm.
But, there's the blessing in the restructured water, because he should have been dehydrated before the weekend. On Thursday, he should have been dehydrated already. He was running 104.6 temp. And, I'd get it down. It would come down to 103. Then I'd get it down to 102, but it'd shoot right back up again. And, of course, when you're running at temp, you're burning up, the liquid, because everything is going to fight this temperature. So you're burning through the moisture in your body.
So does he have a flu right now?
No, he has pneumonia.
Okay.
So, he should have been, by all rights, most children that you would bring to the doctors or the hospital at that time, they want to put them in and put them on, an IV to resaturate their body because of dehydration, but he was not dehydrated. We went all weekend long. He went to the doctors yesterday. He still was not dehydrated. He was sick. He was running a temperature. He's very ill, but he's not dehydrated. In other words, what I'm saying is it would have been very, very severe had he been dehydrated on top of this.
Right.
His organs might have shut down. Oh, I just think there's, if there's any way that anybody can, afford even just a portable unit, any type of this unit, they need this for their family. They need restructured water.
Well, even that water sample that, that's just water out of our tap, and if that's where 90% of the people are getting their water or buying it, most of it that they're buying in a bottle is just tap water, or they're buying through the stores like in our town near us, like Mitchell, them stores do reverse osmosis water, which we learned is basically dead water. There's no energy, there's no life in it.
Right.
Strips everything out of it, even the minerals that we need. So yeah, I tell you what, it's made a world of difference around here. It's a lot more fun to have water anymore because you just go to the tap and get it again.
Yeah, again. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
Oh. What about if you would have had reverse osmosis on your house and you put this, or all you had was a portable water unit, a portable restructurer, and you put reverse osmosis water in, which is basically dead, but then you restructure it?
I don't know. That's a good question. I guess I don't have an answer for that one.
Yeah, now I want to research the answer to that one. But it would still have to be better. It would still saturate your cells because of the way it breaks it down.
Well, yeah, it would break it down and give it energy again. It may not have quite all the minerals.
Right. Boy, that's interesting. Need to find out that answer. But
I'll have to try to make a note.
I'm just I wish somebody could see what we've been through since last Wednesday night. I mean, we're going on a week now like this, and I just wish somebody could see it, besides me just logging it, to actually see it, because it's amazing, because it's not, he should have been in the hospital by Friday last week. And, so far we've gotten this far. I'm not going to say that they wouldn't put him in tomorrow because of the lack of eating, but it's not because he's dehydrated, and that's a huge thing when you have any little kids that are sick. And the other thing that I think really helped was putting us in the tub and saying, okay, he's 14, he's kind of young to play in the tub, but I gave him the restructuring unit, and I said, keep putting the water through it, keep putting the water through it. And he did so. He restructured his own bath water, which, again, with the skin being the largest sponge, a big sponge, he was taking this into the cells of his skin. So, again, really amazing stuff on this restructured water. I mean, we just can't get enough of it here. We need to get this education out to everybody.
Yes, we do. Trinity, just a reminder that we're still recording live. Do you want to finish this thing up? And
I think so. Does anybody else have anything to say? Sorry I rambled on about that, but it's just been quite a week. So if nobody else has anything else to say, then Rick, would you close us in prayer?
Sure. Dear Father, thank you for, again, allowing us to come together, your people, on this particular call this Tuesday evening, for the purpose of bringing together communities across America and across the world to do, what you created us to do in educating, loving, feeding, clothing, in a value for value type of system, all of humanity. And we just ask, Lord, that as we move forward, that you'll continue to grow us, focus us and bring us from glory to glory. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.